All right, lesson 22, point slope form of the equation of a line. So up until this point, we have been using slope intercept form. The names are really easy. They tell you exactly what's in the equation. So of course, slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where an m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Point slope form, of course, then means we are going to have a point and the slope of the line in order to make the equation. We're going to start with reviewing what you should already know how to do, which is to write an equation of a line based on information. So I'm just going to go over number 1 and 2 very quickly with you, and then we will move on. So for number 1, we have a table of values for x and y. It's two ordered pairs. This would be considered the pair -4, 1, and this is the ordered pair 0, 2. Of course, to find the slope, y2 minus y1, 2 minus 1, over x2 minus x1, 0 minus -4, gives us a slope of 1/4. And then in order to find our y-intercept on this table, it's really easy because they give it to us. Any point on a line where the x value is 0 gives you your y-intercept. So b in this case is going to equal 2. And we have m is 1/4. So the equation of this line is y equals 1/4 x plus 2. When they don't give us the y-intercept, it gets a little bit trickier. So that's what's going on in number 2. So number 2, we can find the slope the same way we would. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, 6 minus 4 over 5 minus 2 gives us a slope of 2/3. But we don't know what the y-intercept is because it doesn't give us a value for x equals 0. And so that means we need to figure that out on our own. So what we're going to do is take what we have so far of the equation, y equals 2/3 x plus b, and we're going to plug in one of our ordered pairs, x1 and y1 here, so 2 and 4. So that means our equation becomes 4 equals 2/3 times 2 plus b. At that point, we can then just solve for b. So 4 equals 4/3 plus b. 2 times 2/3 is 4/3. Subtracting 4/3 from both sides, we end up with b equals 2 and 2/3. At that point, we then just plug that back in, and our final equation here is y equals 2/3 x plus 2 and 2/3. But that's a lot of work. So that's why we would use point slope form, because we found our slope fairly quickly. And then we can use one of the points and just plug it into the equation. So let's derive that equation. We're going to kind of go back and forth with number 3, this diagram on page 311, and then the questions A through D on the next page. So we're going to start by making a slope triangle for the 2 points that we already have, P and Q. So if we make a point triangle or slope triangle here, we can go ahead and add a new point on this line. We're going to go ahead and name point R. And the ordered pair for point R would be the x value from Q, so that's going to be 5, and the y value from P, so that's going to be 2, or that's going to be 4, sorry. So the ordered pair for point R is 5, 4. And then, of course, we can find our distance, our height, and our base for this triangle. The height is going from 4 to 6, so that's going to be a height of 2. And the base is going from 2 to 5, so that is a base of 3. And now we're going to add just another random point, literally anywhere you would like, along this line going off to the right here. So I'm going to add a point right here. And we're going to name this point S. Now, we don't know the ordered pair for S at this point, so we're just going to name it X, Y. Some value for X we don't know, some value for Y we don't know. And just like we did for point P and Q, we're going to make a slope triangle going from point P to point S. And this is a point we don't know. Again, the x value is going to be the same as the one going up vertically. So this is going to be x, which we don't know the value of. And our y is going to be 4 again, because it's in line with those 3 points. And we're going to name this point T. So at this point, your diagram should look something a little bit like this. And we're going to go ahead and start working through questions A through D. So question A asks, what is the height of triangle PST? Label it on the graph. So our height, we know, is going to be the difference in the y values. So we don't know what this y value is. So we're going to leave it as a variable. But we do know what this value is, which is 4. So the height of triangle PST is going to be y minus 4. That's what you should have written for question A on the next page. Next, for question B, it asks, what is the base of triangle PST? So that's going to be the distance from point P to point T. Again, we don't know the value of the x value for T, so we're going to leave that as x. I'm just going to write this down here. But we do know the x value for P is 2, so that's going to be x minus 2. And that's going to be the base of our triangle PST, x minus 2. And then for C, it wants you to write a proportion that's relating the values of the height to base ratio for triangle PQR, that's the little one, and triangle PST. So if we're doing height over base, for triangle PST, the height is y minus 4. And the base is x minus 2. And then for our little triangle here, PQR, our height to base ratio is going to be 2 over 3. And for the proportion, then we're just setting these two equal to each other. So this is what you should have on your next page for questions A, B, and C. A is y minus 4, B is x minus 2, and C is that proportion y minus 4 over x minus 2 equals 2/3. And now we're going to solve that proportion in order to get a linear equation. So, of course, we're going to start by cross multiplying x minus 2 times 2, x minus 4 times 3, which gives us 3 times the quantity x minus 4 equals 2 times the quantity x minus 2. And to simplify this, the only thing we're going to do is then divide both sides by 3 so that we end up with this equation here, which is y minus 4 equals 2/3 x minus 2. And this is actually point slope form. We're going to talk about it a little bit more in the next example. But what you'll find is 2/3, that's our slope. We know it from that first slope triangle. And then 2, 4, the ordered pair 2, 4, is this one that they gave us for point P. So we have this ordered pair 2, 4. So that's going to be point slope form. We're going to talk through it more generally for number 4. So bear with me as we go through that. And then you will do some examples of putting equations in point slope form. So similar to what we did for number 3, here is what the graph should look like if we add our point R, our point S, and our point T. But now we don't have any values for the table. We don't know what point Q is. We know that, and they've just given us for P is x1, y1. So then if you do your height and your base, it's y minus y1 equal and x minus x1 for your base. And then the slope that it's giving us is m over 1. The height QR is m, and the base PR is 1. So to quickly go through all of these, the height of PST, as it just said, was y minus y1, and the base is x minus x1. And then your proportion here is going to be y minus y1 over x minus x1 equals m over 1. And when you rearrange that, you get this form, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And that's going to be point slope form of the line. So getting these notes down. When you are given a point x1, y1, and a slope of m, you can write the equation in the form of equation of the line in the form y minus y1 equals m minus x times the quantity x minus x1. I'm going to bring attention to the fact that you are subtracting here because that's going to be important for some of the examples that we do. All right, so now that we know what point slope form is, we're going to practice forming or writing point slope form. So I've done 5. Let me talk through it. So the equation again is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. We have a 0.75. That's going to give you your y1 value of 5 and your x1 value of 7. And then, of course, your slope, or m, equals 4. And then you just plug all of that into your equation. 5 goes in there, 4 for your slope, and 7 for your x1. And so the equation becomes y minus 5 equals 4 times x minus 7. You are going to do number 6 on your own. I have pointed out something that might be a little bit tricky, so I want you to remember, is that if x equals -2, and in the equation, the original equation, we subtract, that becomes x minus x1 is x minus -2 becomes x plus 2. Keeping that in mind, y equals 1 equals 9, m equals 4/5. For the rest of this lesson, you are going to complete it more or less on your own by following the notes. Numbers 8 and 10 are done for you so that you can use them as examples to help you. If you need any help, raise your hand, get your notes checked before you do your exit ticket.